Hi everyone, I hope everyone's well. I'm going to be doing a video today on the new co-driver system that was just brought into the new update for Crossout, which was dropped today. I'm not going to go into the Battle Pass guns at the moment, just because I haven't unlocked anything obviously, and they're just pictures at this point. But the co-drivers, they are out today. So one thing that I should say straight off the bat is that if you played the game previously, which you probably will have, obviously, you will have intelligence saved up from the old co-drivers systems. So this was depending on how much you unlocked on the old systems. I had 30,000 intelligence when I came on today. And that was because I think I maxed out 4 or 5 of the old co-drivers. I stayed on Master Jack for years. I never 2 or 3 that I hadn't even touched, which wasn't smart in hindsight, but it happens. Anyway, so with the new system, you probably will have a decent bit of intelligence to spend on unlocking these new co-drivers. I should say that straight off the bat, I'll get into it further, but in general, I would say Jay, Grizzly, and Billy are by far the best, and the others are minor buffs at best, whereas these 3 are noticeable buffs, like significant almost. And another thing I should say is that once you have invested the intelligence in a co-driver, that's it. You don't need to rank them up or get XP from them like the old systems. It's just a one-time fee, and then you get the bonuses, essentially. So we'll go for the first one, Jay. She is the strongest co-driver by far, in my opinion, and she's meant for scorpions and typhoons. So gains up to 4 charges by hitting an enemy at a distance of at least 80 meters. At least 3 seconds must pass between hits to accumulate the next shot, and each stack gets you 7% extra damage. So that's 7% extra damage. You got 4 stacks of them, which is 28% total. Well, potentially 28% more damage on a scorpion or a typhoon, which means scorps and typhoons at that rate are going to be hitting at like 700 odd damage, and then that's without the trombone. That's pretty nuts in my opinion. Anyway, show how the perk works. So this one was long range. I'll do. So the perk will last for about 8 or 9 seconds from what I've tested. So if I shoot now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, about 9 seconds it'll last. So if you shoot someone, you'll get a 7% damage buff now for the next 9 seconds. But it will gradually tick down constantly. So say after 9 seconds, it will always lose 1 perk. It'll always lose 1 stage, if that makes sense. So if I shoot here, I get 1, and then I gotta wait 2 or 3 seconds before I can get the next one. And then I get 2 or 3 seconds before I can get the next one. And you can see every like 9 seconds or so, it's constantly going down 1. But after about 4 or 5 shots in a scorpion, as long as you land a shot every 9 seconds, you can keep the perk going. Which, yeah, well, scopes and typhoons are on like a 3 or 4 second reload. That's not a problem at all. So this is going to be very good. It's going to be very meta, in my opinion. Scopes and ranged hovers are already meta now, but with a huge buff like this, it's going to be a pain in the ass. You also get projectile speed, which I guess is nice on typhoons, weapon spread, which is pointless, and ammo pack mass, which is also kind of a nice little perk. I don't think I'm not going to be running that on my Mastodon hover, just because I think landing shots in Clan Wars at 80 meters distance reliably in Mastodons just isn't really a possibility. You get projectile speed, which will help. I'm gonna run full boss. I'll get into that in a bit, but yeah, that's Jay. She's gonna be incredibly strong in my opinion, and if you're going for ranged hovers, then just run her. You could run Falcon, but don't. Just run Jay, in my opinion. Okay, next is Grizzly, and he is essentially just a tanky spider player. If you want any tank build in the game, you want to survive longer, just run Grizzly. It's pretty fucking obvious when you look at the guy that, yeah, he's meant to buff tanks. So talent charges after receiving 3 hits. At least 1 second must pass between hits from a single enemy. The charge does go down over time. Increases the armored card's resistance to all types of damage by 30% for 4 seconds. So I'm guessing if 2 players shoot you, like separately, let's say a scope, then you get 2 of the 3 stacks. I'm hoping, but I don't know. Besides that, you get carbon mass limit, armor card dura good, movement part dura good. They're just very solid perks, very solid ability, and very solid passive skills as well. In terms of the old Master Jack system with having to change spiders, so in case people aren't aware, with the old system there was a co-driver called Master Jack who was a all-rounder, and the best part of Master Jack's abilities was that he would give 500 kilograms of mass and tonnage to your builds. So this was nice on spiders, but it was crucial on certain hover builds, which I'll get into in a bit. But for now, I'll just talk about spiders. So because none of these new co-drivers had anything like that, at first I was like, great, now everyone's got to take 500 kilograms off of their builds to account for the tonnage and the mass shortage of not having Master Jack. This is true for hovers, but it's not true for spiders. So for spiders, because you can get carbon mass limit of 3% on something like a bastion, which it takes the original carbon's mass. So bastions, it ignores fusions essentially. So bastion's base will be 20,000, which means this gets an extra 3%, which is 600. It's 20,000. Yeah, 1% is 200, 3% is 600. So if you look now, this is 23,630, and if I take the perk off, 23,030. So a lot of spider builds, you probably actually gain about, I don't know, 100 kilograms of mass, maybe a little bit more on a cohort. Do I have a cohort build actually? No, I don't. Anyway, a cohort you gain a bit more, but yeah, you don't have to worry about changing your builds or anything. You actually get a bit more mass out of Grizzly. He's very solid, very all-rounder. If you're looking for anything that you want to survive a little bit longer, yeah, just go Grizzly, I think. One is Yuki. Also, I think I got around 30,000 intelligence today when I started. That's for, I think, maxed out about 4 or 5 co-drivers on the old system. Because I stuck with Master Jack for years and I never bothered to rank up most other things, which is pretty stupid now in hindsight, but eh. Anyway, Yuki. The talent charges while the player stays behind the enemy vehicle at a distance of 35 meters in case there are multiple enemies faster. Quickly when no enemies near the player, it's not changed by drones or turrets. Increases maximum damage roll weapons by 15%. You get a minor buff, to tonnage. You get basically flash damage, movement parts, durability. I'm not entirely sure what Yuki is meant to buff, to be honest. Maybe dogs, certain dog builds, but doesn't seem to be much use for her, and I'm never going to bloody run her, so yeah, we can just glaze on past her. Billy, next. This is essentially a machine gun or Punisher, Punisher specifically, co-driver. So talent charges after hitting an enemy 30 times at a distance of 35 meters or more. Next shot at the enemy activates the talent. Talent is you get 25% bonus to damage for 6 seconds, but you also take 25% more damage. It also stops if you lose a Punisher at any point. You get better spread, you get rotation speed, which is kind of relevant to Punishers, and you get some self-destruct damage. So yeah, this is essentially a minor secondary Punisher perk. If you're running on anything with machine guns, like anything at all, actually saying that, if I have to hit an enemy 30 times, 35 meters or more. I would, yeah. At first, I was gonna say if you're running Reapers, maybe do this, but you're gonna take more damage, so I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know actually. Maybe running on Reapers. I'd probably run Grizzly on Reapers just for the tankiness, but this is specifically Punisher. If you're running Punishers or anything to do with strip builds like that, aspects, stuff like that, run Billy. It's gonna be very meta. I think it's gonna be Punny is gonna be a pain in the ass with this, I think. Next co-driver is Phobos. I should actually start with this for now. So On another note, because of the changes to the tonnage and the mass system, it basically, because they've scrapped Master Jack and everyone now has to take 500 kilograms of mass off their build, it's kind of crippled certain hover builds for me. So basically, at the moment now, my Beholder Mastodon, for example, used to be 14,000 kilograms. I've lost 500 kilograms in tonnage, so now I need to take off 400 kilograms of armor. And it's not really feasible anymore, I would say. No, it's got to keep going. So yeah, this is, if I take 500 kilograms of armor off of my Beholder Mastodon, it's just in the realm of too squishy. It's already lightweight as is, and I don't trust the armor if I take 500 kilograms off. So I'm probably gonna need to just not run this anymore. Not a Mastodon hover. It's just too squishy, I think. If a Scorpion shoots me, I'm gonna be shitting myself because it would take something important. There's just not enough armor, there's not enough mass to cover the damn build, in my opinion. So I'm probably gonna. It's basically taken it out of the equation for me. I can't run this anymore. Same probably goes for my Hadron. I mean, what are we looking at? What's the tonnage? Yeah, see, I need to take 400 odd kilograms off my Hadron. It just can't do it. The build can't afford to do it. Yeah, in terms of fusions, everything is perfectly fused except, well, ignore that. It's not for power, but actually, saying I got 200 kilograms from that. Anyway. Yeah, so I still need to take about 200 or 300 kilograms off my Hadron. If I had my Mastodon for less mass, then I could afford to do it, but I don't. So I just feel like this build can't really get there anymore. The mass just can't do it anymore. It was just too. I think that one of these co-drivers, it would be very nice if one of these co-drivers buffed tonnage in some way. There is one that where was it? Yuki does, but you get a 5% bonus to tonnage, but none of these buff hovers in any way. You'd just be doing it for tonnage, which is 5%, and even then was so. Yeah, 5,600 tonnage on a Hadron. That's 560. That's like 280 kilograms of tonnage, which is nice, but I don't think it's worth it. Plus, I don't actually have that much. Yeah, I think that preferably a hover co-driver with some tonnage buffs would be nice because pretty much all hovers now, I'm pretty sure, are going to have to take off 500 kilograms because of this change, which is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. And some builds just won't be viable now that it has. Like this, for example. I just don't think it's viable anymore. I have got around this fact with the Echo, which I'm actually a big fan of at the moment. There are a few upsides. Echo has really good tonnage, just base, so I don't have an issue with that, which means I can run a Colossus, an 8-hovered Colossus build, which means that this actually moves better than my Beholder ever did. Also, I'm running it with Phobos, so I'll talk about Phobos now. Athena charges if you win 30 minutes of an enemy for 2 seconds. It stops if you receive damage. Increases damage to 25% for 5 seconds. So, if you're within 30 meters of someone for 2 seconds, you get a 25% damage buff for 5 seconds. Now, 30 meters is pretty damn close. It's actually very close. It's right there. So, but if you do, you get, like I said, 25% damage for 5 seconds. I think this would be really good on a Mastodon hover. Like, if you push into the face of an enemy hover, you can have a massive damage buff. It's going to be quite scary. Also, if dog teams are pushing you, you're going to get... odds are they're going to be... Oh, at some point, they're going to be right next to you, and you're going to have the perk. I think you probably have the perk before they... I don't know what the range of a spark is, but... I think it could be good against dogs. I want to try it out. and it's probably the best co-driver I can think of for a Mastodon hover. I would say J, but the fact that you've got to land it over 80 meters in a Mastodon hover in Clan Wars, I mean, it's easy enough to shoot at these targets here, but you need to land shots on a guy, say, that far away, reliably in Clan Wars to get buff. It might be, I'll try it out at some point, but I just think that Phobos is going to be better. Also, what's nice for Phobos is that she buffs armored cars' movement speeds. So, Echo Hover specifically, it used to be capped out at, with a Colossus, it used to be capped out at 70 kilometers an hour because you get 65 kilometers from the cabin, you get an extra buff from the engine. But now, because of Phobos, you can buff it to 75, which is really nice. It makes a huge difference. It's only 5 kilometers an hour, but going from 70 to 75 feels a lot better, trust me. And yeah, I think the Phobos also, the damage perk also kind of mimics the Echo perk a lot of ways, because it's like a mini Echo perk. Obviously, you get a damage buff with the, you get a reload buff with the Echo. You also get a damage buff with the Phobos. And if you stack those, you get it in the right situation where you have both of those going at the same time. You're gonna have a lot of damage. Let me try it out actually. Right, deal then. So stay here-ish. Let me try that again actually, because I didn't have the full echo pick. Alright, pick's going. Yeah, so it stops before the end of my third shot gets it, but still quite a lot of damage, as you can see. So yeah, I'm gonna try this out. This is what I'm gonna run for my Mastodon hover. Like I said, I could try a Hadron or a Beholder with less mass, but I just feel like it's too squishy for the Mastodon fusions that I have. So it goes on to the full. But besides Mastodon hovers, even damage block. I'm not sure what else you'd run for Phobos either, to be honest, because you need to be close to get the perk, but you can't take damage to get the perk, so this thing would actually be... Oh, no, I don't know. If you run it with a lance, for example, would it... I suppose it would. You'd get the damage off with the lances before you took damage. So it might be OP as shit with a lance. Not that they want it to be, because that's a stupid game design to have lances in a game like this. So yeah, Phobos. Next one is just a robot. I can't be asked to name it. It's just, it buffs drones. Drone this, drone this, drone this. No one cares. You're running drones, run that. Falcon. This is interesting, but I don't see much of a use for it. The talent charges after you hold an enemy in your sights for 2 seconds. The target must be in range of radar. Taking damage resets the charge. Highlights as explosive modules, and you do more damage to those explosive modules. You also get some weapon spread, detection rates, and engine power. I guess this is meant for like close range scorpions. You know, if you're close up, you can see his ammo pack, and then you get more damage on it, so you can pop it, for example. But I don't think this is really going to be feasible. I think like the majority of Scorpion players are just going to run. Not entirely sure how effective it's going to be in practice. So it does 15% more damage to the explosive modules, which is the cabin and the ammo packs. But the only gun that can reliably pop, builds, ammo packs, and Apollo when it knows where it is, would be a Scorpion. But the 15% damage buff to a Scorpion isn't going to really change anything. So Scorpions do 280 damage base. You buff one Scorpion shot by 15%, that's 42. That's 322. So that's still not enough to pop an Apollo, like with no Durafuses or anything. Which means that you're still going to need 2 Scorpion bullets to take out an Apollo. So I really not sure what is the point of Falcon's ability, to be honest. I can't see it being used much. I wouldn't recommend it. The last one is Athena, and she buffs basically explosive rockets, essentially incinerators. So the talent charges by dealing blast or fire damage to multiple enemies at the same time, or by hitting an enemy with at least 2 rockets from a single rocket salvo. The next shot at the enemy after charging activates the talent. So you get damage by 10% and blast radius of 33. You also get some puddle radius, ammo, and you get essentially rockets fire out of the tubes faster. I thought this would be really good on crickets at first, but the definition of salvo kind of pissed me off. So what I thought at first is that you get say 2 crickets on a build, so it shoots out 5 rockets each shot. So I figured if you have 2 crickets that fire 5 rockets and you hit them with a full thing, it's going to hit them with 5 salvos of 2 essentially. So it would stack the perk up all the way to full, because it needs 4 charges, as you can see down below, to fully stack this perk. So I thought if you shot someone with 2 crickets, then it would do all 4 of these at the same time essentially with one shot, because it's firing 5 sets of 2 rockets from the 2 guns. But it doesn't. If you hit someone with a full cricket shot, it just counts as 1 salvo, which is kind of disappointing. So as you can see, once the perk is done, you get 2 locust shots off. Yeah, so that's why this is a good buff to this is a much better buff to locusts than it is crickets, mostly because you get the locusts out faster, so you can charge it up. So you gotta do 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, now the perk is charged, so my next shot activates it. So you get the perk on the 5th, and it's still going by the time you get a 6th out. So land 4 shots to charge it, and then you get a perk on the 5th and the 6th shot. But on crickets, it doesn't work that way. You've got to shoot them with 4 salvos, and then the 5th salvo gets the benefit, essentially the increased damage and blast radius. But then the perk runs out before you get the 6th. So I would if you're running explosive hovers, I would recommend Atitlan, but it doesn't do much else. It's good for locust. If you're running a locust hover, it's good for that. It's decent on cricket, but also it's not that useful, to be honest. So yeah, that's all of the co-drivers. In terms of what I would recommend, the meta ones, I would say definitely J for Typhoons and Scorpions. This is going to be a pain in the ass. It's going to be very meta in my opinion. Grizzly on every single spider build, Billy on every single machine gun build, and then the rest are just a bit mediocre. Like Atitlan will give minor buffs to rockets. Yuki, I guess, some minor buffs to dogs, drones. Who wants to play drones? Phobos is okay at times. Falcon's okay, but these 3, Jay, Grizzly, and Billy, are going to be very strong, and they're much stronger than the rest, in my opinion. So yeah, I hope that helps. I won't go too much into the battle pass, but I will just say that I cannot wait until I get this gun to chuck it on the spider. It's probably not going to be that effective. People might think it's OP when they see like 1600 Dura, and you can get that up to say 2k with an inverter, which will be very it'll be very easy to if I can turn it, attach, because it's just a big box. But you understand it's one weapon, so I mean the kaiju is like 1.5k Dura with an inverter, and that's a much smaller target. So I don't think this will be that good, but I can't wait to run it nevertheless. Anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted to say about the co-drivers. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching.